Hi, folks. This is Mountain Man coming to you from parts unknown. I hope everyone is doing well. And I'm once again simulcasting on Rumble and Utizzle. And I want to thank everybody who's joining me tonight and everybody who watches the live stream afterwards. But remember, if you subscribe and hit the notification bell, you'll know when I go live and you can participate in the chats. And we got a lot to chit-chat about tonight. Come on aboard, make a friend. If you're a reasonable person, we could have some back and forth, okay? But anyway, what are we going to do? I'll tell you what we're going to do. We're going to, hey, does that bring back some memories? Why we're not blathering our hoaxes because of the TV shows we used to watch, but that's all been commandeered by the fruitcake left. But anyway, folks, let's watch a few clips while people get into the chats. Get yourself a cup of coffee, a piece of pie. Let's have another cup of coffee and another piece of pie, or a brouhaha or wine, whatever you want. And then we will be like butter and get on a roll.
Voters in America should decide who our president is, not Vladimir Putin.
The Russians offered help. The campaign accepted help. The Russians gave help, and the president made full use of that help. And that is pretty damning.
I believe he knows he's an illegitimate president.
The bottom line of this dossier, the bottom line allegation, the point of this is they colluded. They helped. They were in on it.
What does Vladimir Putin have on President Trump?
And they've also decided who they want to see become president of the United States, too, and it's not me.
Secondly, I found out that Vladimir Putin doesn't want me to be president.
We need to make it very clear, whether it's Russia, China, Iran, or anybody else.
This election, that Russia has been involved, China has been involved to some degree, and now we learn that Iran is involved.
As 17 of our intelligence agencies have confirmed, security officials who served in Republican information in administration have said that Donald is unfit to be the commander-in-chief.
There are 50 former national intelligence folks who said that what he's accusing me of is a Russian plan.
You mean the laptop is now another Russia hoax?
And that's exactly what.
Is this where you're going? This is where he's going.
Well, we know that this whole smear on Joe Biden comes from the Kremlin.
I don't understand why this president is unwilling to take on Putin when he's actually paying bounties to kill American soldiers in Afghanistan.
When Russia puts bounties on the heads of our soldiers in Afghanistan.
That Russia had bounties on the heads.
On the heads of American soldiers.
There are several factors that contributed to the low to moderate confidence in the judgment, including the difficulty of
This is the one that weaponized, not me. She weaponized. I probably took a bullet to the head because of the things that they say about me. They talk about democracy. I'm a threat to democracy. They're the threat to democracy.
But I am telling you right now, that motherfucker. But I am telling you right now, that motherfucker. And you can sit on
the storm zone.
Yes, sir.
I'm wondering what storm result.
They have unsuccessfully tried to take down the wrong person.
He's absolutely going to come back with full vengeance the next time around.
Now think about what 4 years of a retribution presidency might look like. Our Constitution really does give president tremendous power to destroy. This will be something we could never have imagined. Now the gloves are off.
Some of Trump's close political allies told him they are working on figuring out the identities of the FBI and DOJ staff and forming lists.
I will direct a completely overhauled DOJ to investigate every radical DA and AG in America for their illegal, racist enforcement of the law. The deep state is destroying our nation, but the tables must turn, and we will quickly destroy the deep state. We know where the bodies are buried. There are a lot of people out there that have done some very, very people that have done such harm to our country. I've been looking at them for a long time.
He could order the investigation and prosecution of individuals who he sees as enemies.
Put them all in jail where they belong. You gotta get tough and smart, and you have to fight fire with fire. You can't allow this to go on. And I will be the one to clean it up. I am your retribution. We will take care of it. We will take care of it.
We will take care of it, and we're coming closer and closer every day to taking care of it. I've got a clip I've had for a while. I wanted to play you all. It shows you just how well rehearsed these creeps have been, how deep and wide this mockingbird media has become, even into former government officials, and on it goes. And we're going to tear it all down. We're going to tear it all down. Let me see. Hi, Angel. How you doing? Sissy, Melinda, Darla, Robin, Rain, Gary's here. Ha ha. Debbie. Let's see. Kim's here. Melinda's here. Todd's here. Mark. How you doing? Pappy Two Bears. And let's see. Bill's here. With a big yeah, that's right. Gloria, nice to see you. Flannel Cheese. Jerry. Yeah, they're all a bunch of liars. Oh my goodness. I appreciate you going by buy me a coffee, Wayne, the other day. And Hilarious too. Went by earlier today, helped sponsor tonight's program. I appreciate it. Gloria's here. Who did I miss? I missed him, Rebecca. Nice to see you. KNS Cleanup. Andrew. Yes, indeed. Biblical new beginnings is what we're looking for. Araceli, nice to see you. But anyway, listen to how he's got this. Is this Paul Bagalia? And he's just prattling off. You know, and they got to be careful what they say now. They have to say adjudicated rapist, right? They can't just say the word adjudicated. We got 3 judges at the very least need to be removed from the bench, and by all rights should be sitting in jail. Remember the names. It's Engoron, Kaplan, and who's the last one? No, not far from the last one, but Mercan, the 3 who put Trump through hell with phony trials. And Fannie Willis and Letitia James, all these people need to get rounded up and put in jail. When's that going to happen? Well, we'll talk about that. But anyway, listen to how he has rehearsed the talking points, and he prattles them off. That's a good word I use for them. Prattle. What are you prattling about?
Donald Trump went to a military school for high school. Okay, but he didn't serve. He avoided service in Vietnam. He said he had bone spurs. Then he said avoiding STDs was his Vietnam. Then he said John McCain was not a war hero. Right. Then he said troops are suckers and losers and are war dead. Yes, he did. He was going to a World War I cemetery. My grandfather fought in World War I and was wounded in Europe for this country. That's been proven to be false. And I honor your service.
I'm asking you a question. If that is the case, December, January, and February, we've seen the highest recruiting numbers for the military than we've seen in years. Why is that the case? You could say that all you want, but I am somebody that has served, and the people that are in my ranks overwhelmingly look at President Trump and they say, if I really want somebody that's going to defend us and put us in harm's way, if necessary, I would absolutely take President Trump over Joe Biden.
So why does he stab him in the back then?
Well, then if that's the case, then why do we have record recruiting right now?
Yeah, well, Paul Begala, you ought to get plucked in the nose for talking about that suckers and losers, another hoax that was exposed. But you repeat it. The people that repeat these known lies need to get a foot in their rear end and ejected from any position of public trust or public broadcasting or anything of that nature. It's time to put the foot down when the people are ready, folks. When there are enough people awake and people who fall behind, we're just going to have to say, catch up. You better catch up because we're not going to wait around for you. We've got this idiot. Whoa, I got a black screen. I shouldn't have that. I'm sorry. Let me put this up instead. This is a Russian unmanned water vehicle that they've been working on. A drone, an aqua drone. Works and stuff to make it look even more wacky than it really was. But I don't know. I just had a black screen up there. I had to get something on there. But anyway, we got this Jerome Powell who is fleecing America as we speak. And Trump has called for the board of directors on the Fed to remove Jerome Powell. I've got a clip I need to get. Well, I don't need to, but it is someone peeing and moaning about this woman getting fired for the phony job numbers. And she's talking about how horrible it is, but she gives up the game. She talks about how they should be insulated just like the Fed should be insulated from presidential actions. Imagine that, we have it right now, basically. We have someone that is willing to pick the pockets of this new world order over in Europe and beyond, and they claim the president can't do anything about it. Oh, he can't do anything about the national economic security. We'll see about that. But anyway, I got this thumbnail. Put them all in jail where they belong. And there he is, Jack Smith. You know, so much stuff we've yet to dig up and stick under the nose of the public. And you see on the left-hand side of the screen there, one of the great many things is 9/11. And which one do you call the greatest crime? The greatest crime. 9/11, the to disrupt the presidency. Which one was the worst? The Russia hoax? The attempts to jail Donald J. Trump and his supporters? Well, I think it's all part and parcel of the same crime. That's what I think. Who did I miss coming in? Anybody? Part and parcel of the same crime. And we have a number of people discussing this business of limitations, statutes of limitations, and we'll get into that. It's just as I was discussing ongoing crimes, if they commit crimes to perpetuate the original action or it's part of the original action, there's no statute of limitations. It's all part of the same damn thing. So we got to find the nexus. The nexus. Here's Midas Trash Network. Here's the new one they're putting out. The new thing. They're throwing everything against the wall. Midas Trash. Trump panics. 6. Oh, they're not including the part where she already lied about over 800,000 jobs, nearly a election, and then revised it downward. But they've got something else up their sleeve. This is a new one. See the nice pictures they pick of Trump? Who's behind this channel? Who propelled it to go past Joe Rogan? A bunch of histrionic lunatics, in my opinion. Illegal drug scheme? That's what it says. Illegal drug scheme? This is the newest one they put out yesterday. Legal AF, which is intertwined with Midas Trash Pail. The reason that Trump is illegally blocking U.S. Congresspeople from getting into ICE detention facilities, federal suit to stop it, question mark. Question marks, they can always say, well, we're just asking a question, not making a... He used to be on Midas Trash Network all the time. Examines new investigative reporting about drug trafficking being conducted in ICE privately run detention centers by private prison employees. But the administration turning a blind eye to it because the prison company, Core Civic, donated millions to Trump's campaign as it seeks to profit even more from human suffering. Oh my goodness, the left are all such victims. Well, wait till it sinks in their brains that Elon Musk gave $15 million to the Republican National Committee to help with the midterms. What are they going to cook up about that? Or are they going to have to keep their mouths shut because Elon Musk will sue their eyeballs out of their heads, right? And I can't wait for that to happen. I certainly can't wait for that to happen. Oh, guess what else? Pritzker. J.D. Pritzker. Jabba the Pritzker up in Illinois. Illinois becomes the first state to require student mental health screenings. Okay, you're going to have a bunch of psycho, dysphoric, liberal maniacs deciding if your child is mentally fit. And will they have the power to take a child? Mental health screenings will soon be required for students in Illinois, alongside annual vision and hearing exams. Governor J.B. Pritzker on Thursday signed into law a bill that will require public school students in grades 3 through 12 to undergo a mental health screening each year. Are you sure you're a boy? Are you sure? The change will go into effect in the 2027-28 school year, with at least one screening per student required annually, according to the press release from Pritzker's office. That's a very dark bill. That's something that parents better zero in on and tell them, look, well, hopefully they will have the wherewithal to remove their children from those insane asylums being run by the lunatics. You know, I was wrong about Ghislaine. One of my surmisings about Ghislaine Maxwell's being moved to a minimum security. There is a lot of stuff around there, a lot of cover, a lot of ways for people to sneak in. So I was thinking, well, maybe they put her out in the middle of a area that was hard to get to, minimum security, but hard to get to discourage any outside attempts. But no, if this is an accurate photo, who's this from? ABC? I think it's from ABC. Yeah, then that consideration is off the table. I don't know how well she's going to sleep. I don't know. What else do we have here? Judges, this is another a theme they're going to push. And look at the picture they have of him up there making a face, angry face. Judges overseeing Trump cases speak out against threats. Oh, the judges are feeling threatened. Federal judges presiding over major cases involving the Trump administration on Thursday denounced threats they faced. Yeah, like we're going to throw your ass off the bench. We're going to have you removed. That's not a threat. Okay? It's part of the process. We can kick your rear ends out. We got to get to Congress. But we're making big strides toward that, okay? We're making big strides on this redistricting thing going before the Supreme Court. We're going to talk about that too. Here's Midas Trash Pail. Another line of attack. They've got to constantly brainstorm, constantly grab at straws, constantly throw stuff on the wall, see what sticks. Brian Stelter. I also think the rise of Midas touch this year, which has been noticed by many Democrat politicians, figures like Gavin Newsom. It also speaks to the energy in the country. And there they have Midas Trash. I've talked about them for the better part of a year. I said they're artificially propped up and they're full of radicals. Didn't I say that? Now here they are getting plugged by CNN. The Midas Touch overtakes Joe Rogan as top YouTube podcast. YouTube equals DARPA. DARPA equals China. But I'm sure you all know that. Here investigated. One of the people in their community. Where's that report about Jack Smith? This is where I got the thumbnail picture. Office of Special Counsel Jack says it has opened an investigation into Jack Smith. Jack Smith, who's done nothing but get rejected by the Supreme Court 9-0, and then traipsed over to Europe to be on the International Criminal Court, a do-nothing position except cause trouble when somebody snaps their finger. And here's a report. The U.S. Office of Special Counsel confirmed Saturday it has opened an investigation into former Special Counsel Jack Smith, whether he violated the Hatch Act through his criminal investigations into President Donald Trump. All the phony investigations, okay? That follows a referral from Republican Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas earlier this week that asked the Office of Special Counsel to investigate Smith for his investigative and prosecutorial activities prior to the 2024 election, which Cotton argued were intended to harm Trump's political prospects. No kidding. Well, what does this lunatic say about it? I'm having a really hard time processing this totalitarian hellscape we're slipping into. I can see it happening and I can't stop it. Openly gerrymandering, not even lying about it anymore. There goes our votes that we are entitled to. Our rights are being stripped away by what is stopping. We're screaming about it, giving money to this organization or that organization to try and help, protesting, and it's still happening more and more every day. So I guess my question is, what stops this? Not slows it down or makes it more difficult, but what hold in its tracks? How do we make this happen? And you can imagine the crap coming out of the chats and the comments about what Comey brought up, 86 and then 47, exercise your Second Amendment rights, all this kind of stuff. These people have lost their flipping minds. Let me clear my studio out here. They've lost their damn minds, and we're going to have to leave them behind. There's where we're going, they can't follow. It's just that simple. Let's see, where were those two at in here? And if they can pick themselves up and follow, fine. But when you're that damn far gone, hey, if it's a friend or a family member or even somebody I don't even know that's nice about it comes ask me about this stuff and is in mental distress, I will reach out to them and try to explain. But hi, Sparky, how you doing? They're mentally ill, and some of it is terminal. And we can't give up the country for these dimwits. You know, I was thinking, I was joking around with a friend of mine. I forget her name. The young lady with the jeans, doing an ad for the jeans, and she's got a look on her face. Like I said, I am so very tired of being so beautiful. She's got one of those looks on her face, and she's not overly. I've seen worse clothing ads, I'll tell you that. But I thought to myself, one of the reasons they're really, really mad about it is that 12, 13, 14-year-old boys and up will look at ads like that and have a sensation. And that sensation may let them know, wait a minute, maybe I don't want to cut it off like my teacher says. Maybe there's something going on here, okay? That's what's got them so mad. Natural responses to somebody that's attractive, takes care of themselves, dresses nice. Instead of purple hair, nose rings, emaciated, with sores all over their body because they're just eating chia seeds and holly branches. I don't know what they eat. But anyway, this I had the other day in the studio. Didn't get to it. It was put out on the 31st. Remember the ad the Jaguar put out? The Jaguar, the cars. Copy nothing. And then they said, buy a Jaguar car. Well, their sales went down 93%. Jaguar and Land Rover CEO, Adrian Mardell. Adrian to step down after leading woke rebrand and EV transition. Transition, that's a word in it. But there's a great juxtaposition, okay, for advertising. That Eagle jeans, whatever it is, gone through the roof. And they fell down to the basement. and they ain't getting out. I wouldn't want to be riding around no Jaguar with those pack of freaks. Oh yeah, I'm with the freak party. Freak show. No. People are starting to wake up. But we got to get them to wake up to the level we're awake at, where we want, like Bill Barr said, not just arrests. We want scalps. We want people going to jail. And they'll be able to prove in my train of thought that people like Jack Smith knew they were doing a hit job on Trump, knew they were trying to deprive him of his civil rights and put him in prison for the rest of his life, and to use the government to do it in a dishonest and corrupt manner for a corrupt purpose, and he should go to jail. Him and everybody that was in on it. That's the level we want to get people to. And just like this Midas trash network again, I'm bringing them up because this stuff is outrageous. Here's what they're pumping. This is how you know the Epstein files are fake, that the Epstein files have been compromised, just like they've piddled with the job numbers, just like they piddled with the rules in the National Archive to justify raiding the Mar-a-Lago home, just like they dreamt out of whole cloth this business with Russian collusion, just how what they did with the plan and endemic. All of it lies, all of it exaggerations, all of it fear-mongering. They keep on putting up these 30-year-old photos and don't say a word about how, if it wasn't for Trump, both Epstein and Ghislaine Maxwell would still be free, still be billionaires, still be riding around helicopters, in submarines, going all around the world, doing their evil business if it wasn't for Donald Trump. We've been all through the chain of events. But here's what they put out. Midas trash. Hit the like if you agree. Today would be a good day to release the Epstein files, unredacted, in their entirety. And of course, they get like 1,000 thumbs up in an hour or 15 minutes or what. Yeah. They're like jackals, but they also have paid bots. I can buy thumbs ups. I can buy views. Of course, I don't do that. It's dishonest. But many creators do to get their view rates up, which pushes the video out in the algorithm more. But there are also those like that lunatic I read. Oh, what are we going to do to stop this? Stop what? The prevention of children being surgically and medically defiled? Chemically defiled? What are you talking about? Is that what you want to go back to? You want to go back to where whoever is the beneficiary of the Fed money plucks our feathers 4 times the rate they do other countries? You want where how about 20 more million or 25 million people come from God knows who in the hell where and dump in our country that we got to take care of? Is that, you go back to that? What the hell is the matter with you people? So, but they froth at the mouth because they've been trained, just like with the Paul Bagalia intro video I showed you, or semi-intro video. Oh, he called them suckers and losers. My grandfather was wounded in World War I. He called my grandfather a sucker and loser. Acting all histrionic about a rumor, a finger point. He should be ashamed of himself. But I am waiting for the day when this bunch gets their comeuppance. gets their comeuppance. And here's something else I enjoy seeing. Remember when I used to say this all the time? Me no speaky. I said, well, I'll probably get taken down for saying that. We gotta do all this stuff for the no speakies. Remember? Me no speak. A lot of these liberals, they're like, oh, you don't speak English. They transmute that into being simple-minded, that they have to talk to them like children. Oh, you hungry? You want money? Yes, money? Okay, we help you. We help you. Meanwhile, they know exactly how to disarm somebody's home security system, come in multiple cars, evade detection, break in homes, steal diamonds, steal everything everybody owns, get the hell out of there, and nobody even knows what happened. But they poor and they're not intelligent because they don't speak English. Well, now they're starting to do these tests on the road. This is the first one that lost his CDL privileges to drive a commercial vehicle in the United States. He's handing the phone over to a VDOT agent or DOT agent, Department of Transportation, because they're asking him questions. He gives them the phone, and they talking to the phone. He take Google Translation. That's the only way he can communicate. And he's driving a 60 to 80,000 pound vehicle on our highways, and he can't reach and sign about an emergency up the road, 2.3 miles up the road. Make sure you take a right. He no speaking, he no understand none of it. Plows right through. But anyway, I was glad to see this on a YouTube thumbnail. Me no speaking no English. And I watched it with great pleasure. Bonehead truckers. I watched it with great pleasure as they said, you're not leaving the parking lot in that vehicle. If your buddy can do it, fine. But you ain't, because you no speaky. What's this? Pam Bondi launches a DOJ probe into non-citizen voting. It's coming out. Any idiot could have seen that when they started motor voter BS. All the motor voter BS. You get a driver's license, you're automatically registered to vote. Everybody could see that was a scam. How do they do it? Simple. You just fill out the ballot form. If they say, oh, gee, I got a ballot, but I'm not a citizen, so I can't vote. I'll put it in the trash. They'll take it out of the trash, fill it out, and send it in. Or they'll have community activists. We're here to get all these ballots here. You speaky this ballot, speaky see, gimme ballot. And they'll fill it out for them and just dump them. So we got millions of people that have been voting, whether they know it or not, just simply by getting these driver's licenses. So at least we're starting with CDLs to get rid of some of this business. Look here. New ICE detains a migrant accused of ending a mother's life and child in a drunk driving accident. Mexican illegal immigrant, new charges. On July 27th, 2 counts of vehicular homicide and assault. Wait a minute, what's this? Previous arrests. 2023. Domestic violence. 25, DUI. 25, DUI. Oh, but don't contact, don't you be evil. and work with that evil Trump administration. $7 months? Oh, that'd be wonderful. Hi, Roland. That'd be wonderful, Gary. I don't want to rush it whenever as much hell as we've been through. We got one shot at it to get it done and maintain civility, okay, civil law and order in this country. So only the ones that suffer are the ones that deserve it. The ones that got it coming. Injury to the populace as possible. You know what? Here's a video I'm going to play you. This is after Donald Trump beat Hillary Clinton. This is Ari, what's his face, on MSDNC. Trump elected. This was in December of 2016. We've been dealing with this hoax for 10 flipping. Many people that turned 18 and voted this last election were only 8-year-old kids. 8-year-old kids when they started this stuff. And now they're voting in this election. It's a proven lie. It's a proven hoax. And they haven't corrected it. They haven't apologized for it. Here is a breakdown. They give it themselves. Tell me in December of 2016 that they didn't cook this stuff up and work together with so-called intel agencies to create this hoax before Trump was even elected, and they're carrying it on before he gets sworn in. And the person they have as a guest has not been invited back to MSDNC for 10 years. So anyway, videos like this are going to be evidence as far as I'm concerned. And I don't know if this particular individual or not, but I believe there will be producers, there will be people in the media who will be incarcerated over this crap.
Of anonymous intelligence leaks broke the NSA surveillance story, says many people are making an old mistake, and he warns, quote, anonymous claims leaked to newspapers about what the CIA believes do not constitute proof and certainly do not constitute reliable evidence that substitutes for actual evidence that can be reviewed. Have we really not learned this lesson yet? Joining me now is Glenn Greenwald, co-founding editor of The Intercept. A good evening to you, and how would you like to see this skepticism applied?
I'd like to see it applied the way that any rational person, let alone a political citizen, ought to be functioning cognitively and in terms of forming beliefs, which is there's a distinction between, on the one hand, faith-based beliefs, which is when you put your trust in a person or an institution or a religious leader so that when they decree something, you simply assume it's true regardless of evidence because you have faith in that individual to tell you the truth. And the opposite of that is a rational-based way of thinking, which is you don't accept a claim just because somebody makes it. You need to actually see evidence for it so that you can review that evidence and assess whether or not it's persuasive. And this second component is exactly what we're lacking when it comes to claiming.
Well, yeah, while this is playing, the bottom is scrolling about Arctic waters and the dangers of melting ice, and Trump won't be able to do this and that. And there's just more fear-mongering on the bottom scroll. But what's he saying? He said, don't just go with blind faith to anybody that tells you it's a bunch of crap. Use your brain. If you don't see any evidence of anything, don't believe in these people. And this was 10 flipping years ago.
that the Russian government is behind these leaks.
Let's stipulate that that evidence is necessary, that it has not come out, that it needs to be declassified. But there is still, Glenn, of course, a spectrum that investigators, lawyers, and intelligence officials all use. And on that spectrum, the argument here is that the public accounting of the emails is known, that there was a lead-up of intelligence about Russia doing this, then it was done, and then since that time there's been a wide variety of, yes, anonymous sources, but in different outlets saying that this was Russia and it had certain political goals. Would you say, though, all of that adds up to circumstantially strong evidence as a general matter?
No. What circumstantial evidence can you point to, Ari? You just identified what agents have claimed, what agencies have claimed, agencies that have a long history of error, that are designed to disseminate disinformation, that are subject to groupthink, that are political actors who have constantly disseminated claims that turned out to be false for whatever their motives might be. You have taken all of those agencies and you just described in your question to me what they claim. What evidence is there, definitive, circumstantial, or otherwise, that they have presented that suggests that the Russian government is behind these leaks? There is none. What
I think the background is what they predicted and then the fact that the emails were released. But yes, to your point, what we want, what everyone's been calling for, is some declassified aspect of the motive of what actually shows they might have done it. Now, turning to the politics of this, are you of the view that Democratic elected officials are basically using a different standard because they like and agree with the outcome of this particular set of leaks?
To be completely honest, I mean, I think that what Democrats are doing, what they did prior to the election, was they thought this was a winning tactic to link Donald Trump to a country that they tried to build into this really scary threat. Barack Obama spent 8 years saying Russia is not this scary threat. He mocked Mitt Romney for trying to do that in 2012. But I think it was an election year tactic. Fear is a really potent weapon. But I think Americans, when they wake up in the morning, don't wake up worried about Vladimir Putin and what the Kremlin is doing. I think it proved to be a losing political technique. And I think since the election, Democrats, like a lot of Americans, including myself, are sort of disoriented, still in shock, and are just grappling for explanations and screaming Putin over and over and accusing critics of being Kremlin stooges. I think that's more just a kind of byproduct of this desperation than it is anything else. And I'm hoping that things will return to reason.
You mentioned that on trying to link critics to Russia, which has a very ugly history in the United States and is a fairly deplorable political tactic. Here is Howard Dean, former chairman of the DNC and a guest on this network, as you know today, saying about your site, The Intercept, quote, "Would be interesting to find out if The Intercept gets money from Russia or Iran." And then responding to an allegation not proven that The Intercept has morphed into a Russian, quote, propaganda machine, Dean says, quote, "That
opportunity to remember Howard Dean, we're going to go here, we're going to go there, we're going to go here. Yeah! And he got blown out during an election. Well, you know, after this situation, we haven't heard squat from him in years. He's still around. He's like 76 years old. He's still around, but he shut up right after this. He out and out said Glenn Greenwald's paper was a Russian stooge, basically. And like I said, they never invited Glenn Greenwald back on NBC for 10 flipping years after this interview. But anyway, here's how he responds to Howard Dean.
Respond.
He sounds like the love child of J. Edgar Hoover and Roy Cohn. It is so ironic. I mean, what Howard Dean just did, as lowly and just unethical as it is, to cast that kind of an insinuation with no evidence whatsoever about a media outlet that has criticized him, that is the tactic that the far right used for decades, Ari, as you know, during the Cold War, to smear every Democrat and every liberal who said we ought to have better relations with Russia, who questioned propaganda from the CIA about the Kremlin. They were told, you're a useful idiot to the Kremlin, you're a disloyal American. There were investigations because of those kind of claims. It's astonishing to watch Democrats resort to those kind of tactics. And just as a political matter, I don't think it's going to get them very far. And ethically, I think it's just reprehensible.
Yep, that was it. Last time he made a television appearance. But what he was saying, every damn bit of it was true. It gave him temporary success if you believe that Biden won. If you're in that dysphoric world. Hi, Miss Mendersue. How are you? Lori, nice to see you. Anyway, speaking of what it benefits them in the polls, here's Harry Enton talking about Trump being the most consequential political figure of the entire 21st century and probably beyond. But anyway, we're going to see how low the immigration rate has dropped. No tacos for Trump, effective tariff rate. What does that mean, no tacos for Trump? I don't know. Let's listen to what Harry's got to say.
Like it, lump it. Trump's remaking the United States of America. We can start there with tariffs. What are we talking about? No tacos for Trump. The effective tariff rate, get this, 18%. It is the highest, Omar, the highest since the 1930s, up from, get this, just 2% last year. As I'm going to talk about in this segment, I can't think of a more influential president during this century, and it starts here with tariffs. He said he was going to raise tariffs, and despite the claims otherwise, he is in fact doing that. The effective tariff rate at this point looks to be 9 times as high as it was last year, the highest since the 1930s in FDR, Omar.
And the effective tariff rate is up from 2% last year, for those that might see the banner there. Tariffs, though, aren't the only way Trump's remaking policy in America, right?
It is not the only way that Trump is remaking America. What are we talking about? Well, let's jump. The other big thing that Trump ran on, right, was immigration. How about net migration?
Real quick, I'm going to interject. Highest since FDR in the 1930s. What happened in the 1930s? They gave all these foreign money in their pockets, gave them free access to our markets, let them play in our sandbox for free, and that's right when they started when you got your paycheck, it had all these federal deductions out of your checks. They started taking our money instead of tariff money. And Trump is going to reverse that.
We may be dealing with, get this, negative net migration to the United States in 2025. That would be the first time there is negative net migration in this country in at least 50 years. We're talking about down from 2.8 million in 2024. So Donald Trump has always run on tariffs, and he's run on a hawkish line on immigration. And on both of those issues, we are seeing record high tariff rates for this century going all the way back, well back into the early part of the 20th century. And when it comes to immigration, net migration, we are seeing record low levels, way down from where we were during the Biden administration. We are potentially looking at negative net migration for the first time in at least 50 years. And that is a big reason why that I'm saying that Trump, at least in my mind, is the most influential president, certainly this century, and probably dating a good back chunk into the 20th century as well, Omar.
So when you say most influential, I mean, statistically, how much is Trump doing?
Yeah, okay, so let's talk about this. How about executive orders? Already, 180 executive orders signed by Donald Trump this year. You have to go all the way back to the FDR administration once again to find a year in which there were as many executive orders signed as we have this year. To give you an idea, Biden during his first year signed 77. That's the entire year. We're only a little bit more than halfway through this year, Omar. Again, this is why I'm saying executive orders, immigration with net migration. Trump is remaking the United States. Love it, like it, or lump it. He has been tremendously influential to a historic degree.
And we're only getting warmed up. We got to get these insane judges out of the picture. And we will. We will. Hi, Miss Minister, you're double dipping. What president used tariffs is McKinley. One of many presidents who used tariffs. But he was the one who used them the most effectively. So, anyway, I'd like to remind you all that this is a viewer-supported channel. I'm not monetized on YouTube and Rumble. I get some like a nickel a video or something like that. But anyway, folks, I got a link in the description for Buy Me a Coffee if anybody wants to help support the channel. And as I said, Hilarious 2 chipped in before the broadcast, and I really appreciate that. And the people who helped out last week was Wayne. He helped out the other day. Too, and Mike and Bev and Shannon were last week's contributors. So, anyway, link in the description on both Rumble and YouTube if anybody wants to help support the channel. Now, what else are they doing? Ignoring. The power to ignore. You know, it's the same thing as putting their hand over your mouth. If they don't report what you're saying, they might as well put your hand over your mouth while you're standing next to them. The Trump accounts will set a generation of kids on the path to prosperity. That's what he's going to be doing with some of this tariff money. Remember, we have to make a list, check it twice, for all the places that we're finding hundreds of billions and trillions of dollars that have been abused, stolen, defrauded from us, on top of what we're earning from countries that want to, as I say, play in our sandbox. No ticky, no shirty, okay? You got to pay to play. You got to pay to get in here. Just like an amusement park. You want to ride the ride? Well, you got to have a ticket. So, on top of that are resources. Oil, precious metals. All those things are going to be inuring to our benefit, and they're not reporting on it, silencing us. And what are we replacing with this optimism, this business of standing on business? We're replacing their fear-mongering. They spent all their time, like Trump said, if only they used their conniving brilliance for good. For good. Instead of sitting around with all these creative ways to try to destroy people and create fear, to gain power through fear. Look here, now, of course, now they got just down to climate change. Look at that in 1973, 77, 77, 79. Oh, we're all going to freeze to death. We're all going to die. And like that one message I read from the Midas Trash contributor, same hysterics, same waterworks, tears. What are we going to do to stop it? Then they went to global warming. I remember the kids at school being all afraid. The heat is on, global warming. I'm not going to have any kids because I don't want them to suffer when the earth is destroyed. Well, we're going to run a country on optimism and hope and not fear. And Trump is going to derive his power not from scaring the people, but from uplifting the people. There's a big difference in the power metric when you do it that way. And sad to say, folks, once again, I have to tell you all, and maybe many of you know, I saw this earlier before I went live on Citizens Free Press. Lonnie Anderson from WKRP in Cincinnati, among other things, has passed away. She was 79 years old. That's a pretty good life. And again, we're seeing a lot of our icons going, we're passing into a new age. And none of us know when the number is up, the clock is punched, however you want to put it. So we are very fortunate to be in this special time in not only American history, but human history. I guess in a way we're teaching people how to learn. If you know how to learn, you can teach yourself, can't you? So anyway, let's see some of these other reports. I'm going to put this up. Let's see. Formal investigation into Jack Smith. Oh, I got this before I got the picture show ones. Yeah, we heard that one. What? It would be great if he was one of the first arrests in my book. Okay, Rudy Giuliani put this out. Trump administration freezes $339 million in UCLA grants. We already saw Columbia bite the bullet for $200 million. Brown, $50 million. Harvard is on the ropes. They're looking at losing billions if they keep making Papa San Trump angry. And here you got UCLA, $339 million. How, Robert shows today, and he was talking about exactly what I was talking about, that these students that have been conned into getting garbage degrees and spending six figures going into debt should sue the universities for misrepresentation, unjust enrichment, philosophical snake oil, whatever. Sue their eyeballs out of their head. And the taxpayers should do a class action lawsuit for all the bailouts that we've done that have gone straight into the pockets of university administration and what do they call them? Provosts and all these big shot names they have. They're swimming in billions of dollars, and we're paying for our culture of idiots going out being taught stuff that is absolutely worth nothing more than squat. Look up the definition of the word squat. They have a degree in squat, and they have to pay back $100,000. Oh, but Joe Biden's going to pay it off for you. Waving that carrot under your nose. You think that influences votes? Yes, most certainly does. Fraud. Good luck, UCLA. Ha ha. Here, Trump put this out. Shatters expectations. Consumer confidence. An increase of 2 points in July, 97.2. Americans are growing hopeful about the economy as trade talks progress. Yeah, most never pay it back. They go to the government, cry, and the government subsidizes them with whose money? Our money. Here's Trump. The head of the Bureau of Labor Statistics did the same thing just before the presidential election when she lifted the numbers for jobs to an all-time high. Then I won the election anyway, and she readjusted the numbers downward, calling it a mistake of almost 1 million jobs. a scam. She did it again with another massive correction and got fired. She had the biggest miscalculations in over 50 years. Yeah, get out of here. Put an egg in your shoe and beat it. Here, what do we got from Diamond Silk? What else? Couple who defended. You know what? These people. You remember when the couple had these Antifa or BLM lunatics kicking down gates and marching through a gated community and raising hell, and they came out on the porch strapped. Well, I'll put it that way. They had hardware. They're still going through a damn legal battle. They're supposed to be semi-retired by now, retired, and enjoying their lives, living in a home they worked their rear ends off to make pretty and nice and restored. And then they have this government-provoked mob of criminals menace them. And they try to show the people that, look, we're going to defend ourselves. You're not going to drag us through the street or burn our house down without a fight. They are the ones still defending themselves, spending God knows what in attorney's fees. Couple who defended themselves in viral BLM riots incident. Mark McCloskey, a Missouri and in the state of Missouri, no less. That's how much they've infiltrated. Along with his wife, confronted Black Lives Matter rioters with a firearm after they broke down the exterior gates of their property and proceeded to enter. I can't believe they're still going through this crap. Jack Smith shouldn't be the first prosecutor and the only prosecutor to go to jail. They've got them all around the country. Like Kamala Harris said, I can destroy somebody's life with just a stroke of my ink pen. Jasmine Crockett panics, says she's in danger of losing her seat. Ha ha ha. She testified Friday that there's a strong likelihood she'd lose her seat. Maybe because you're nuts. Okay? People don't want to deal with a nut anymore. If the Texas legislature gives final approval to a redraw of the state's congressional districts. Well, before the Supreme Court, which is in Alabama, they're rehearing a case about where they created a second district. As I've said in the past, they make these districts, instead of a square block or a semi-formed, discernible geometric shape, they look like a damn piece of spaghetti. Okay? Or something the cat coughed up, a hairball. You can't even make it out. No offense to my little Sadie, wherever she is. But they're rehearing it. And I think it's Alabama or Arkansas. I might have the article in here. But the Democrats could lose 25 seats if the Supreme Court says that you cannot do this stuff solely based on race. You can't use race to create districts. You can't say, oh, we're going to have an all-white district. Or, okay, let's have an all-Somalian district. No, you can't do that. So that's another thing that's got them panicking, on top of all the other crap that's coming their way. Storm that is coming their way. Oh. Fine. Because I agree with him to a large degree. Not on everything. But I said at the beginning of the broadcast, when are we going to start seeing arrests? Okay? And Clandestine says, I see many people asking when arrests will happen. The answer is when the public are ready. Trump and his team are not just declassifying these Russiagate revelations just for fun. The public have to be briefed before high-profile arrests. The public must be aware and prepared for what is going to happen. Otherwise, the shock and backlash would be catastrophic and a legitimate threat to national security. I've always said that. Civil uprising, riots, chaos, etc. Getting rid of U.S. aid was important to mitigate this and prevent nationwide Soros-funded riots. Amen. The public must understand why these people are being arrested. The public have been conditioned to trust. And believe in many of these people. I would say including media. Some media people got to go. Got to get arrested. Rachel Maddow's one of them. A hand in glove. And the psychological blow is going to be mind. It's going to be extremely difficult to stomach for millions. They will deny, reject, lash out, etc. And this phenomenon on a large scale could have significant ramifications. Yeah, but it's got to be done. It's got to be done. Trump and his team have mechanisms to accurately measure, gauge public perception, and they have a realistic timeline in mind for when public arrests. As for when that will be, I have no idea. Just stick to what we can control. And what we can control is spreading the word as much as possible. That's why you like and share my videos. Ha ha ha. Continuing to show all the facts related to Russiagate and the ongoing coup against POTUS. And do our part to move the needle of public perception. Don't forget, folks, that's why Trump says it over and over again. The wars would have never happened. October 7th with Israel would have never happened. Ukraine and Russia would not be at war if he was allowed to freely function in his office, and he wasn't. And you can add to that a lot of the stuff about the plan and endemic. Our mission is to combat the propaganda from the corrupt mainstream media, awaken, guide the public, and win in the court of public opinion. We were created for this moment. I am in agreement with that. That's why I posted it. And it's, laid out where I don't have to remember everything. Let's see. Wait a second. About military. Oh, gosh, I'll get to that one in a minute. Oh, my God. That's awful. Let me find it. Let's see. Okay. This is what was being reported in the Ruski News. I got to make sure I get the right page up first. Here we go. Trump's domestic use of military set to get worse. Worse? I think domestic use of military would be better right now. Leaked memo shows a Department of Homeland Security memo obtained by TNR, I don't know who that is, signals top-level discussion of the Pentagon's domestic anti-immigration role and lays out new details. President Donald Trump has already enmeshed the United States military in domestic law enforcement operations involving immigration to an unprecedented degree. He has authorized a major military buildup at the border. I don't see anything wrong with that. He has maximized the use of military planes for deportation, complete with the White House pumping out imagery of migrants getting frog marched into souped-up military aircraft. Yeah, baby. He sent the National Guard into Los Angeles amid large-scale protests there and then sent in the Marines. They neglect to say the Marines have finished their mission and are not there anymore. The memo lays out the need to persuade top Pentagon officials to get much more serious about using the military to combat illegal immigration, and not just at the border. It suggests that DHS is anticipating many more uses of military in urban centers, noting that LA-style operations may be needed, quote, for years to come. And it likens the threat of transnational gangs, let me see, Al-Qaeda or ISIS cells and fighters operating freely inside America, hinting at ramped-up military posture inside the interior. You would have to think that Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and the cartels, you'd have to be crazy not to believe that they haven't been taking advantage of this open border stuff. The memo was authorized by Philip Hegseth, the younger brother of Secretary Pete Hegseth, who is a senior advisor to Homeland Security Kristi Noem and a Department of Homeland Security liaison officer to the Defense Department. As such, it also sheds light on Hegseth the Younger's role, which has been the subject of media speculation, labeling him an obscure but influential figure in his brother's MAGA orbit. The upshot seems to be that Department of Homeland Security is urging top Pentagon officials to prioritize using the military against illegal immigration to a substantially greater and unprecedented degree, and that the discussions are underway to accomplish that, with Defense Secretary Hegseth's blessing. Well, you know, I don't know any other way that you're going to get rid of these people. There's too many. There's too many. I got to figure out how to get things cleared out so I don't get overlapped. But anyway, it'd be fine with me. I mean, the estimates are 20 to 100 million that have no business in this country. We don't want to hear any more of the bleeding hearts, the broken hearts, or any of these other people that don't have a... You know, you see these people out there screaming. As I said, they don't give a damn about the dumpsters behind Planned Parenthood being full of the remains of human beings. They don't give a damn about that. They don't give a damn about what happens, kids being approached by some lunatic teacher that wants to psychologically distress them so they can't sleep at night. And they want to give away your money, my money, our land, our resources, our houses, rental availability to people they have no flipping idea who they are or where they came from, and they don't want to be part of this country. It's like Trump said, they're here for the gravy. Well, the gravy will run out. It's running out for us. That's for damn sure. Here's a kind of a gross, well, this is another BS thing they're cranking up. FEMA denies grants to 3 Kentucky counties hit by devastating storms. Denials are latest by agency as Trump administration seeks to shift burden of disaster recovery to states. FEMA officials claim the areas did not suffer enough damage to merit federal support in a letter issued to the governor Tuesday. Well, I'll quickly interject. FEMA very rarely gets involved in weather events that are not named storms. Named storms. Storms that carry so much as of a punch has to be classified as a tropical depression, all the way up to a hurricane. And if there's no activity like that, it's just a bad storm, and it's not named, the chances of getting an emergency declaration go way down. Now, tornado is another thing, and it has distinct markings or a distinct signature it leaves behind to designate that it was a tornado. But other than that, earthquakes, if it's not a named storm. Last week, FEMA also rejected Maryland's request for disaster assistance after near record level floodings in May. Well, you have flood insurance. I know. I spent over $100,000 in flood insurance premiums on different properties. Probably closer to $150,000. I never got a dime for anything. Never needed it for nothing. And it's just money pissed away as far as I'm concerned. I'll never see again. But anyway, destroyed hundreds of homes and businesses, torn the roads for public infrastructure, leaving close to $16 million in damage. Well, if you were in, a FEMA zone that you have to pay FEMA insurance to get your loan, you're covered. You don't need a disaster. I mean, I've gone into places where 1,000 homes have been underwater, and people set their, because everything below the counter to the floor was flooded. That is what a FEMA disaster response is for. But anyway, I'm not saying these people didn't suffer. I'm just saying there are catastrophic, widespread events, and there's localized storms and flooding. There's a difference. We want to wean off FEMA, and we want to bring it back to the state level, the president said, speaking from the Oval Office in June, noting his plans to promptly give out less money to states in recovery. Well, it's not just that simple. But they'll make it seem like Trump is an ogre. Speaking of ogres, I got to watch what I say here, folks. Yesterday, 2 Afghan migrants and then aped a 12-year-old in New Eton, Warwickshire. The Warwickshire police advised 2 local councillors and officials not to reveal that the suspects were asylum seekers, feeling it would inflame community tensions. No kidding. They ought to have what Florida has, the D penalty, for that kind of an offense. Reusing the same logic that enabled the grooming gang cover-ups in Rotterdam, Rockdale, Oldham, Telford, and towns across England. British police think English people protesting is worse than migrants aping children. However, the attempts of a cover-up were leaked to the newspaper, the Daily Mail, who revealed the names, country and origin, and immigration status of the suspects. Without this whistleblower who remained anonymous, the British public would have remained oblivious as to the gravity of the crime committed in New Eton and if I'm saying that right, Nuneaton, and the profiles of the suspects as the local police refused to disclose any details about the incident, leaving people vulnerable in the dark, not knowing what kind of danger there is. This led Warwickshire Reform UK Councillor George Finch to write a letter to Home Secretary Yvette Cooper and the Chief Constable of Warwickshire Police to disclose the immigration statuses of the two migrants, trying to avoid a repeat of Rotterdam, Rockall, Oldham, and Telford cover-ups. Finch also asked the Home Secretary to stop busing migrants into his county. This marks the first time a local government breaks ranks and turns against London from consequences whenever they commit a crime. Well, don't forget, folks, what I read in my last broadcast, that international court, EU court, said that people couldn't complain or reverse this migrant situation, and that each person they want to ship out has to have individual trials, stuff that would cripple any attempt to get control over the situation. If that stands, Europe is lost. And I don't know if I got it in here or not, but Citizens Free Press reported that one of the newspapers said that these two guys described them as the girls' lovers, not the criminals that they were. They were described as lovers. Who's this person? She's from Scotland, Ireland. Hey, lassie. The reality is, even as Ireland has suffered at the hands of the British for several centuries, Ireland in this century has not yet come to terms with its own whiteness and white privilege. So you can have this person wandering around in your country telling you got white privilege. Even though 84% of the world's population would be classified as people of color, we got to destroy and subjugate and belittle and shame and guilt trip whitey. But anyway, Donald Trump, the very wonderful and talented Laura Trump, whose show is a big rating success. I have voiced my opinion about this character, and I refuse to say his name. Put racist sleazebag Charlemagne the Puke, is what I call him, the Puke. Why is he allowed to use the word G-O-D when describing himself? Can anyone imagine the uproar there would be if I used that nickname? He is a low IQ individual, has no idea what words are coming out of his mouth, and knows nothing about me or what I've done. Like ending 5 wars, including a 31-year bloodbath between the Republic of the Congo and Rwanda, where 7 million people have died, and there was no end in sight. He didn't know that, or India or Pakistan, or wiping out Iran's nuclear capabilities, or closing their horrendous open border, or creating the greatest economy where prices and inflation have come way down. And where stupid and corrupt Joe Biden set the record for doing the worst job as president ever. But this dope, Charlemagne, would vote for Sleepy Joe or Kamala? Remember, 1 year ago, our country was dead. Now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world, MAGA. Well, you can't get pimp slapped any harder than that, Charlemagne the Puke. you puke. Oh, look here. Oh, remember when I was told a couple of years ago I couldn't even mention the country, Brazil? Massive protests against Socialist Lula in Brazil. I would have got a clip, but it's got some music over top of it. There they all are. Trump put a 50% tariff, and he came out. Here's that idiot. There he is. Commie, jailbird, got to let out of jail because they have a country run not by a constitution, but by judges, which is what they're trying to pervert our system into. They want us to be a country that respects the courts. Any illiterate nitwit that's what they want us to degenerate into. President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva of Brazil said he would take orders from President Trump wouldn't take orders from President Trump in his first interview with the New York Times in 13 years. Well, what was he in jail? No one is defying Trump like Brazil's president. Yeah, well, you got an election coming up. And I think it's in our national interest to make sure there isn't foreign communist disruptions. So we'll see how that plays out. Oh, this is one where Trump lays it out about this crazy broad. Excuse me while I have a sip of my coffee. Oh, thank you. I had a notification about Shannon bought me a coffee. Thank you, Shannon, for helping support tonight's broadcast. I appreciate it so much. And again, I have a link in the description. Anybody wants to help the channel out? I was just informed that our country's job numbers are being produced by a Biden appointee, Dr. Erica McIntyre. Flip that around, McIntyre, the Commissioner of Labor Statistics, who faked the job numbers before the election to try and boost Kamala's chances of victory. That overstated the job growth in March 2024 by approximately 818,000. And again, right before the 2024 presidential election in August, by 112,000. These were records. No one can be that wrong. We need accurate job numbers. I have directed my team to fire this Biden political appointee immediately. She will be replaced with someone much more competent and qualified. Important numbers like this must be fair and accurate. They can't be manipulated for political purposes. McIntyre said there were only 73,000 jobs added. A shock. But more importantly, that a major mistake was made by them, 258,000 jobs downward in the prior 2 months. Similar things happened in the first part of the year, always to the negative. The economy is booming under Trump, despite a Fed that also plays games, this time with where they lowered them twice and substantially just before the presidential election. I assume in the hopes of getting Kamala elected. How did that work out? Jerome Too Late Powell should also be put out to pasture. Thank you for your attention to this matter. Well, Jerome Powell is ripping off the American people, and if they can tie him reacting to any form of foreign influence, he should be removed immediately. And him and his relatives. I don't know if he's got a daughter-in-law. What was her name? Powers. That Trump was saying, where'd she get her money? Is she maybe married into the family or something? I don't know. I read a CUE post on that. Jerome, too late, pal. A stubborn moron must substantially lower interest rates now. If he continues to refuse, the board should assume control and do what everyone knows has to be done. So I look for him to get thrown the hell out. We got a lot of stuff from Mr. T. Wait a minute. I think, well, this one might be an older post. Yeah, I already read this one. Where he said that he could have appointed Abraham Lincoln, they'd still be pissing and moaning about it. Well, here's that redistricting. This is what's going to cost them 25 seats. Louisiana. Supreme Court raises stakes in a Louisiana redistricting case. NBC News. Oh, you know it's good. The court ordering a new briefing, suggesting it could be poised to further weaken the landmark Voting Rights Act. They're not weakening it. They're enforcing it. I'm not going to read that whole article. But they could lose up to 25 seats. Here was my favorite post of the day for Trump. The Democrats are extortionists who almost destroyed our country. Now we are back, and the USA is the hottest country anywhere in the world. Make America great again. Chuck Schumer said he wanted $1 billion to approve Trump's nominees. That's extortion. He's right. They are extortionists, and Trump told him to go to hell. I wonder if I got that post. Maybe that's my favorite post, where he told Chuck Schumer to go to hell. Yeah, here it is. Senator crying Chuck Schumer is demanding over $1 billion in order to approve a small number of highly qualified nominees who should right now be helping to run our country. This demand is egregious and unprecedented. I gotta play a Steve Miller clip about egregious fraud. That's a good word to use. And unprecedented, and would be embarrassing to the Republican Party if it were accepted. Tell Schumer, who's under tremendous political pressure from within his own party, the radical left lunatics, to go to hell. Do not accept the offer. Go home and explain to your constituents what bad people the Democrats are and what a great job the Republicans are doing and have done for our country. Have a great recess and make America great again. Well, I'd like to see them do some recess appointments. But they got some kind of little damn game they play where they keep one person on the floor and different crap like that. And I mean crap. But now, here's Steve Miller. He's talking about, wait a second, let me see what this is. Oh, I didn't play this guy. I didn't copy this video. I'm not giving a lunatic criminal a voice. But Citizen Free Press put up, Hamas leader said the 10/7 attack on Israel was a resounding success. It's in his native language with subtitles, and I don't want to sit here and listen to that garbage. It's filth as far as I'm concerned. Let's listen to some common sense. Here's Steve Miller. He's going to be talking about, among other things, the statute of limitations. Okay, for these egregious criminal acts, these egregious felonies.
Last weekend, John Ratcliffe, CIA director who is a former prosecutor, former DNI, told us that the statute of limitations, the 5-year statute, does not apply when it comes to conspiracy. And he says the conspiracy is ongoing because they still won't admit it. the conspiracy is still happening. So what is your take on what Ratcliffe told us last week?
Oh, he's completely right. So several of the statutes I mentioned, we have not even come close to eclipsing the statute of limitations. But more than that, it is an ongoing and continuing conspiracy. It continued through the entirety of President Trump's first term. It continued through the entirety of President Biden's term in office, and it continues to this day. There are still deep state coup plotters who are trying to conceal and hide this information on behalf of the people they are protecting. There are still staffers in Democrat offices who know the full truth, who are concealing that truth. So all of this behavior, all of this conduct collectively means the conspiracy hasn't ended, is ongoing. Comey, in particular, has throughout the years engaged in conduct and lies, public statements, and testimony in front of Congress. False testimony, whose sole purpose was to perpetuate and continue the conspiracy. So I have every hope and expectation that the Department of Justice, under the leadership of our courageous Attorney General, will follow these facts and follow the evidence and deliver justice. Because if we have a country where we can continue to have FBI careerists and CIA careerists, deep staters who will fabricate and doctor evidence, who will create and produce fake material, fabricated material, phony information to try to go after their political enemies up to and including the president. If we continue to create the impression and the reality that there is not a criminal, a severe criminal penalty for such conduct, it will never stop. It will never desist. It will keep on going forever. And we will continue to have a country that is sabotaged endlessly by the production of fake documents, fake material, fake plots against democratically elected officials. We can't have that. There must be consequences.
Well, I mean, it's just extraordinary.
That's what I'm saying about the Epstein files. Everything is fake with these bastards. And the reason they're demanding them and getting their little minions and monkeys and trolls and bots to keep demanding them is because they have tampered with those files and they want to get them out bad because they're out of ammo. And that's what they're clawing for. Now, I have this video here. I told you all about the other night. Andrew Weissman, Mr. Sweaty Man. Hear him trying to massage the public view on just what Stephen Miller was talking about. Statute of limitations. You can't have a statute of limitations for an ongoing crime. And remember that Mr. Sweaty Man was one of the key players during the Mueller investigation and Mueller report. And remember, Steve Miller is in lockstep with the Lincoln Project crowd and that little George the Creep that I call a hobbit who orchestrated extending the statute of limitations so that E. Jean Carroll could sue Donald Trump for an offense that occurred 20-some years ago. It was okay then. Now, here he's talking smack about a statute of limitations. Ask yourselves, does he sound scared? I have said for a long time he's one of the top ones that are going to get it. Okay, folks? But this is a video I'm going to leave you with. Mr. Sweaty Man being all wimpy and nervous. And an operative right there in the middle, MSNBC operative. But anyway, folks, what do I always say? I say thank you for spending your precious time with me. And I hope you enjoy this clip. I should be going live hopefully tomorrow night. We'll see. But if you're subscribed and hit the notification bell, you'll know when I go live. So enjoy this clip. You all have a great night. I'll be seeing you soon. This is Mountain Man, over and out.
It's also notable if you're thinking about sort of what's going on. There is normally a 5-year statute of limitations to bring a criminal case. You know, my first reaction to this was, excuse me? I mean, not only is there nothing I know that would suggest there should be a criminal investigation, but of course, as you noted, we don't obviously know everything that would be within the department. So giving them the benefit of the doubt, I don't think they deserve it. But let's say we do that. It's still totally unclear how they're going to have a criminal investigation if what they're looking at is something that happened in 2016. Math publicly, but even I can do that math.